2, 1, action.
Stop! Get out!
I've made other types of films. I've definitely done stunts before and things like that. The whole energy of this movie is something different than I've been a part of. And truly, Michael is the reason I wanted to make this film.
You see how this looks? Just take 1 second right now and see how this looks.
I didn't come in with very many preconceived notions of what it would be like working with Michael Bay. It was just wild from the first day that I stepped on the set.
You think you're so tough with that gun?
Yo, Daddy, relax.
It's such a spectacle. You don't get anything but a spectacle from Michael Bay.
Here we go! Ready, and fire!
There are not a lot of directors who themselves have become kind of household names, and I do think that Michael Bay is the consummate action director of his time.
Bring it low, then start to go up. I want the helo to come in from up here. Let him come in!
We started casting the movie, and the job that he put on me was call around town, see if my crew is available.
When you get Bay, yes, you also get his team.
Michael's really loyal to his crew, and there's a lot of us that are family.
Great shot. Nice.
When Michael called me, he said, this is a drama, this is an intimate relationship movie that takes place in an ambulance.
It's his version of a character piece, as he said.
Breathe with me, I'm breathing.
Calm down.
For such a long time, it felt like a small independent indie movie that we were doing in the back of an ambulance. And then I see the humongous explosion. I was like, oh, it's still a Michael Bay movie.
The explosions and everything you're seeing, it's real. That ain't a computer. That's a helicopter under a bridge. That's an explosion around your main characters. It's all real.
Okay, this is fun.
With the energy on this set, we knew that we were making something that was high octane.
Let's go ahead and stage, please. Stage.
And I've said this before, I believe he's an auteur. You know that the camera is going to take you to a place that you haven't been before.
What I didn't realize is we were gonna be intermixing stunts with scenes. So we'd go do a scene, and then all of a sudden he'd be like, okay, I need 6 cars, and they're gonna do this. And we would just run right into this stunt.
Shoot at me! Shoot me, mother! Silver man, shut it up, bring it over here, put it in the curb.
They were like, wow, this is happening fast and it's happening now and it's not traditional in the way that you usually do things.
Hey guys, let's set the dolly track. It's better here.
You have to be ready for everything because that's the way he works.
Working with Michael is like no other experience you could possibly have as a creative. The speed and the amount that he accomplishes in one day is mind-blowing, to say the least.
There's not like a shot list that he sends you with. It's more like, I'm gonna throw you an audible and you're gonna do it.
Brain higher up, and you're gonna be a faster move.
What I love about working with him is he drives towards the energy of a scene. When something's happening, he runs right towards it. He takes risks.
I think some passenger cars, they should be going 15 miles an hour, so it looks like we're hauling ass.
He's a kid in the backyard with a camcorder, playing with his cars and making things. I really, really enjoyed the spirit of play that he brings to the work. It's contagious.
You gotta be kidding me.
That's actually not as loud as your real voice.
That's my side.
People make a lot of noise about him and how much noise he makes. And that is true, you know? I don't think he would deny that.
Okay, guys, this is what looks stupid. A BB gun, you're not gonna be firing.
But I think what's really special is he has a real reverence for actors. I think he really respects the process.
So although he works fast, he loves a good idea. He loves an enthusiastic actor who has ideas and questions and things like that.
Okay, no, don't make it sound fake because get that feeling thing.
Michael, he's a great creative person, and I just look him in the eye and I know that there's 100,000 things going through his brain.
Michael Bay, director, makeup artist.
I got only me to blame, okay? Swear to God.
But I can keep up with him, and I think he likes that. He likes that you can speak up and say what you want and stand up for what is important.
But that kind of defeats the purpose of me screaming it. It's more like internal. She's like lying.
Okay, but my camera's moving so much.
And then sometimes we have to fight for those moments where we can really calm it down and say, okay, now, Mike, I think I've earned a moment to be simple here. I want a moment to be quiet. So he says, no, I want it louder. I want it just louder, faster.
We would poke at Michael and see how far we could go. I would always be like, seeing how far I could push Michael and laugh. And it was really, really fun.
So, yeah, you got to kind of push back at Mike a little bit.
let's just roll this thing. This is obviously not the first cut scene you're gonna see. This is kind of my sizzle guy cutting it. It's more about a vibe for the movie, right?
Everyone's a bit kind of shell-shocked until about the middle of the movie when he drops an amazing teaser, and you go, holy man, that is amazing. That's the movie we're making. And then everyone's like, this process works. It's unique in its own way.
It's really exciting because I think I learned an insane amount of things on this film.
I wrote this story because I wanted to do a story that had to be a movie. It's going to be cinematic and special, and in the end, only Michael Bay could direct.
You see it in his films. They're amazing. Scope is just, it's ridiculous. And even as much as I've done with him, you still are impressed by just the scope of what he does.
Hey, don't you move!
And there is no one like Michael Bay. There is no one creating this type of entertainment.
We don't get to walk off into the sunset!
You try to scan a script for all the possible annoyances. 3/4 of the movie, you're stuck in this tiny little space with like all these edges and corners, and all you're doing is whacking your elbows and knees on little things in an ambulance.
Driving an ambulance is like driving a U-Haul. I think I'm an excellent driver. No one in my life tells me that, but just point the truck where you want it to go. It's just, you know.
We were very lucky. Michael Bay shot a lot of the most crucial scenes practical. So we were on the streets of LA, driving around like crazy people.
This movie is a throwback to all the old famous car chase movies.
The notion of what I was going for was like, if you're gonna do a big chase through Los Angeles, what if we go from the most exciting thing to the most exciting thing? Because one of the neat things about working with Michael is that he's gonna make it exciting, yet not like a page that was written a year ago. You gotta make it feel like it's like happening right now. Sorry for the F-bomb.
Bay always has the fastest, coolest cars in every movie. And of course, a movie called Ambulance, he's gonna have the fastest, coolest ambulance.
Hold on. Ready? And 3, 2, 1, action.
With the ambulances, Falk came on board and helped promo 2 hero ambulances, bitchin' brand new, beautiful pieces, right fresh off their fleet.
Falk is the oldest ambulance company in the world. It's been around since 1906, and we have operations in 30 different countries right now. We talked about it internally, and we said, do we want to be a part of this film? A big part of it was the idea that one of our ambulances was basically going to play a starring role in the production.
45 minutes of movie pretty much takes place in the ambulance. And so we knew we needed multiples.
And that turned into 12 ambulances.
It's gonna be by the doorway right there.
Production kept saying Michael has a passion for things being absolutely as real as they can be. So there's nothing fake on the ambulance itself. That's all real stuff.
That was a really important thing for us to make everything as true to reality.
They all had to match exactly, interior and exterior. And you have to be spot on, because if it's not spot on match, it takes you out of the film.
Oh, okay, perfect. All right.
I always pictured the ambulance a different size, but it is an insanely small space. And I didn't really know how Michael was gonna plan on shooting this film.
What if we make you a little sloppier? Like literally you're tripping a little on the...
So the way that we shot this movie was 3 different ambulances. We have the Buck, which is one that retracts that I think we were in twice.
And ready, and action.
That one has no walls, so he can do all these 360 angles and shoot around it and shoot wides and do all that cool stuff.
Let's do that again, start over again, and just get the squeamish line.
Yeah.
Get that with him.
Okay.
But it's really small. It's like as small as this, and then I'm like that.
There's the other one that is inside on the stage that's moving.
And the hydraulics sort of makes this movement, and the ambulance in real life is sort of like this. So sometimes it was really hard because you have to pretend like you're in that screeching ambulance outside in downtown LA.
When the energy got down, then we do push-ups or we jump rope or we run up and down and things like that and get the adrenaline, right back up.
And then there's the actual ambulance where we're driving around and we're doing everything while at 50, 60 miles an hour.
In other situations, they might put that actor on a stage cars not moving, and they do the dialogue. Mike's like, nope, we're doing that live. We're gonna do that in oncoming traffic, and we're still gonna get the dialogue.
When you're in the real ambulance driving around and it's turning corners, you don't have to do a whole lot of work because there's already tension, there's already fear, there's already intensity.
We're going 1,000 miles per hour. You have air blasting in your face. You're kind of scared because you are driving on streets. And then really keep that mentality of like, I'm in a scene. What am I thinking? What are my intentions in the scene? It becomes really wild.
Me and Cam, our world exists within the dimensions of this ambulance.
We were in a real ambulance, so we had one foot on each side so we could fit. I was, bruised the whole movie because it's just such a physical movie.
Yeah, I'm sort of the stunt mat, and stuff happens on my limp body. So it's definitely like something I'm gonna remember as like, wow, I was really under there. I saw all that happen above me.
And 3, 2, 1, and go. That was a good one. One more time.
You're free falling in the back of an ambulance for 3 months in a row, every single day. And it was crazy, but we had so much fun.
When you see the movie, most of it's stuntmen driving the cars, but there are scenes that the actors are driving because there's certain angles that you don't want a stuntman driving.
So Yahya did a lot of his own driving.
Yeah, I love driving this thing, man.
They put me behind the wheel, and Sly was in there. Sly's my stunt driver. He told me when to brake and how to turn, and he let me get aggressive.
Drive every day of the week, baby. Every day of the week, baby.
Driving with Yahya, I'm a little older, and I take my safety seriously.
Ready? And let's go.
Falk gave us the ambulances under one condition. They had to come back exactly how we got them.
There were some broken taillights and the ambulance lights torn off on the roof when he was like, no, I'm cool, I got this.
You got to do that to get a real reaction out of him. So, yeah, I would speed up and take my sharp corners, and, sometimes you just got to wake him up.
I have to take twice as much motion sickness medication when Yahya is driving, and I'll leave it at that.
I felt very safe with Sly, no dick to Yahya, but,
Everybody has a comment on Yahya's driving, except they weren't driving, so, you wonder how well they would have done. I think Yahya held his own quite well.
He did a great job. I mean, Yahya killed it.
I was having a ball out there.
When I got to the set, one of the first things that I actually saw was our ambulances being driven in a way that probably would get somebody fired if they were driven that way in real life. I don't know how they actually made them drive that way.
They may look like just an ambulance, but actually they're souped up. I think they have 580 horsepower.
We did do some suspension, we did do some power, right? So normally you have patients in the back on a life and death, so you want to try and be as smooth as you can. But for the film, we got to have a little rocking and rolling and get that added action.
It has a special e-brake in it. The tires are a certain pressure. It has all the things that give me the safety precautions I need to be able to do what I need to do with that ambulance at high speeds.
Today we're going to do things in a little bit more proper fashion.
Everyone was incredibly safe, and everyone really prepared, and they're very responsible.
Shit happens really fast, so let's make sure we all know what's going on.
The accuracy and respect of all of the stunt crew has been incredible.
Michael's able to do practical stunts and have them turn out the way they do because he hires the best of the best.
And that's how Michael works. He said to me, I don't tell them what to do, they tell me what to do, and I follow them.
When stunt drivers do what's safe, they are always in charge of the ball. I don't tell them anything. They are in charge of everything that they do. That's why you hire the best people. Okay, guys, here we go.
They were always hyper aware when we were on the streets and very, very good at what they did.
Ready, and action, action.
This scene involved the ambulance causing a distraction, so he wanted this big explosion. So we got an ambulance, we rigged it, we had to cut the whole thing apart, put all our mortars inside, and then we filled those with gas, gunpowder, lifting explosions, glass breakers, all kinds of different things that all have to work at once.
All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1, action!
So it's a lot of pressure, a lot of timing, but I think it went really well.
Going going 80 miles an hour with cameras all around you. It's crazy. It's so cool. I'm very lucky to be a part of it.
This has been the best experience for me in that sense. I've learned so much, and I feel like any movie that I go afterwards is gonna be like so boring.
I got a whole lot of everything that I needed out of this experience. There's the excitement, all of the different thrills that you get working on a Bay film.
It really was the reason why I wanted to do this film, was how much fun could I have doing it? And Michael always asked me at the end of the day, was that fun? Did you have fun? And I'm always like, I did. I had fun. And I am so grateful for it.
You get your helos out of here now!
We're doing stunts with helicopters flying under bridges, and I'm sticking my head out of an ambulance driving at 60 miles an hour, and I'm going, what's happening?
I've done 9 movies with Michael, and one of my first jobs on every movie is, what's the newest, coolest gear out there? So on this movie, our dit guy sent me a shot going down like an 80-story building, straight down, and then curving right before it hit the street. And I said, Mike, look at this shot. He's like, yeah, find that company. So there was a guy named Davis Dillo. I said, how did you get that shot? And he basically said it's called FPV, and I didn't know about that type of drone.
So FPV stands for first-person view. Essentially, the pilot is wearing goggles, and they are immersed in the camera so that they can see exactly where the drone is, as if they were there. It's more like a real fighter pilot situation.
Like that? Exactly. And maybe be a little higher.
It's super high-fast drones that do about 100 miles an hour.
I work closely with the Drone Racing League, and these guys are the best in the world. And I was always fascinated by what they could do with the aircrafts. Coming from a heavy lift, traditional cinema drone background, we could never fly the gaps or do the sort of things that they do. That makes it really interesting.
Best pilot we know over here.
My name is Alex Vanover, and I'm a drone pilot on this movie, Ambulance, for Michael Bay.
Michael gives us very concise direction.
You understand what I'm saying? Because you're watching on a tight lens here. If you hold 2 more seconds on a movie screen, it needs a 100 more. Yeah. Good.
But he gives us the ability to be creative.
Oh, first shot today. We are going to do some establishing shots here while we got some awesome light. Mess around with some of the buildings and maybe do a few building dives. And just get those establishing shots that are going to really make everything look epic once we get the cop cars in here.
Alex Vanover is the best drone pilot on Earth. He is a freak on the sticks. He's one that we call like the child prodigy, or the child.
We're able to fly these drones more tight and technical and definitely a lot faster than some of those heavy lift drones. So it's a whole new arena for flying and allows us to fly in really crazy locations like inside here.
Guys, we're taking the drone out, stay clear.
And get some really awesome shots and do something that you can't really get with any other camera or drone.
3, 2, 1, now. Good job, man.
The skill level and the difficulty of flying an FPV drone versus traditional heavy lift drones is much different. There's no autopilot system. It's all instinctual. It's completely on the pilot.
When I'm flying the drone, I'm just almost acting like Superman in a way, where I'm just trying to get these really unique angles and shots that you wouldn't see through anything else. We got some really nice stuff with them running away. There's definitely a lot of challenges with it, but it's a lot of fun, and every time I'm flying inside here, it keeps me on my toes.
Our first day, they did the glass shot coming down the building, right on top of the ambulance.
The Air Korea building is one of the tallest buildings in downtown LA. We went top to bottom in a little under 2 seconds, a few feet from the window. We're looking into the window at the reflections down at downtown, and no one had ever seen or imagined a shot like that.
Here's your pace. Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. I like that. Good.
Yeah, that was a great one.
And Michael looked at me and said, I love these guys.
Whoa, look at, oh, white. Okay, great.
Dang.
So you've got drones, and their skill set has grown tremendously, but there's still a call for that practical helicopter work.
You need to stay low, and then as it keeps going, you're gonna want to boom it up slightly. Don't boom up right away. Bring it low, They start to go up, okay?
They're the best helicopter pilots in the world who have done stunts that no one could ever even imagine, and that's how Michael works. He has real professionals and people who have thought it through, even in the fast-paced nature of how he's made this movie.
The helicopter work is super tough. You have the police helicopter plus the news helicopter, and you're watching the dance between the two. It's incredible to watch that and the skill level at which those guys work at.
The level of professionalism behind the stunts was amazing. And that's what I have a lot of respect for, Michael, that he hires professionals around him, and everyone is the best at their job.
And I think that is the skill of a great director, moving with the people who really are at the highest level. Frankly, I was charmed by the character on the page. I mean, I always love a mixture of a challenge in the physical world and also in the emotional world.
What attracted me to this role, honestly, was a chance to play a good guy on a Tuesday with a problem. And I knew that it would be sort of complex and complicated to justify a lot of Will's actions.
For me, it was really exciting because you're covered in blood, you're covered in dirt, you're covered in sweat. And that was very exciting as an actress to tackle because rarely do we see these types of roles for women.
Good, one more and we got it.
The movie is based on a Danish film called Ambulansen.
It was sort of an unlikely discovery. I think you could count on one hand the number of people who've seen the original Ambulance.
It's an action movie. It is very small, but has a great story.
We would describe it when we'd pitch it as heat meets speed because it kind of had those elements.
And so I started to just write it. And I started to fall in love with these characters because it's not an average action movie. It's really about these three people.
We had gone to Bay and we kind of knew and didn't know what we were getting ourselves into, but we loved the idea of Michael Bay's version of this movie.
Right after I read it, I called Michael. I said, you got to read the script. He said, why? I said, because here's a piece that has heart to it, has action, and I think you can get a good cast. Michael literally read the script the very next night, I think it was, and said, I want to be a part of this project.
Lost my mind. Lost my mind. It's Michael Bay. I can't make an action scene in my head as exciting as what he's going to do.
So when Michael came on board, the first thing that he did is like, let's dig into the script.
Michael made a lot of changes to the script, but not big, sweeping structural changes.
He's going to take it apart, tear it all up. You know, and the writer part of me is like crying on the inside, going, oh, my beautiful words. But the idea is that, like, you got to turn it into a movie now.
Michael created these new set pieces, you know, all of these other ambulances that suddenly show up, spray painted, helicopters chasing the ambulance in the LA River. That was not in the script. You know, those sort of action sequences that he kind of like took and expanded on.
Jake, give me the lift up. Just the lift, give me the strike. Ready? And 3, 2, 1, and go. And again.
So the next domino to fall was Jake.
One of the amazing things that Jake has been doing lately in his career is really just playing characters that you wouldn't expect him to occupy. And I think he really saw something in playing this more kind of Machiavellian character that we hadn't really seen him do before.
What I got to
My question for myself while I was reading the script was really, are there real stakes, emotional stakes? And then also through conversations with Michael, wanting to create a relationship that felt like a real brother relationship, full of all the messiness and love that those types of relationships have.
When we started casting the movie, Yahya's name came up. And when Michael thought about it, he's like, that's interesting because now you have two brothers. One's African-American, one's white, and now it brings in a whole different dynamic.
And it was like, can we do that? And the answer is yes. 100% yes. That is Los Angeles. That's what it's like to live in this city. This is an adopted brother situation, but it's perfect for our story.
3, 2, 1, and action.
Yahya, we got lucky. I mean, he's one of the most sought-after actors, you know, of his time. And he is pure heart. You look at his face and you believe every moment.
You know, Jake and I really worked to make the relationship real, and we were always looking for ways to just show that they're brothers without having to explain it. So we wanted to show the places that they laugh, the places that they fight.
Will, are you trying to piss me off right now?
It's been really wonderful working with Yahya. He listens and is so thoughtful, and he's a good man. To me, that's the most important.
Good.
And it has not been hard to love him like a brother.
Ready? And action.
Slower, Will.
And then the next person was Eiza for Cam.
Good, cut. Good one.
Eiza González is awesome. She's a rising star who we caught at this incredible time in her career.
Let's see if you can keep up, Michael. I'm really proud of playing Cam. It feels so dear to my heart, and I'm so honored to be playing a paramedic in this moment in time. It was both incredibly nerve-wracking, but incredibly exciting. Okay, the skin is open. I'm going to the stomach.
Eiza had her mind busy with all of the technical stuff. She's got to learn the medical jargon. She's cutting open bodies and things like that.
So when I first met Eiza, we spent some time talking about, the language and how to do things. It's very unique. She was very receptive and really seemed to enjoy the learning aspect of it. So it was easy to help her transition to that character.
We are trying to save you.
1, 2,
The three of them together, for me, it was just like, yep, that's the movie. Great job, everybody. Exactly what I had in my head, which is not true, but there's so much more and so much better.
I grew up 15 blocks from here, so making a movie where I'd play in my backyard or with my friends, growing up, like, we'd play cops and robbers, and now I'm doing it again in an actual movie is really fun.
That's good. That's great.
This is definitely a Los Angeles movie, from the fast driving on the freeway and the helicopters, the blue skies.
I grew up dreaming of moving to Los Angeles my whole life, and getting the chance to work with some of the best actors in the industry and with one of the greatest directors alive in Los Angeles, it was sort of the Hollywood dream for me.
The more I thought about it, I was like, I wanted to put it in Los Angeles. I wanted to make it an LA story.
LA is the police chase capital of the world. I mean, I don't really know where else outside of the US there are often police chases.
You drive through Los Angeles, there's like helicopters all around. There's always accidents, there's always car chases.
But we didn't think we were going to be able to shoot it in LA because just financially. So we had budgets of doing it in different states.
We'll do second unit, and then the actors will join us the following week.
So when Michael read the script, he said, throw those budgets away. We are shooting this movie in Los Angeles because it's a character in the movie.
And that was kind of a condition for him, which I was really happy about, that he was able to command that. It did cost more to shoot it in Los Angeles than if we had gone somewhere else.
But nonetheless, it was a big deal to him, and to me, to try to create a blueprint that could be facilitated in Los Angeles.
One more time.
The script was confined to the freeways a lot more. He said he wanted to see more of LA, and if you really want to see LA, you got to get off the freeway.
When I started this film, one of my first scouts with Michael was chasing him in a car through all the chase scenes of the locations of LA that he wanted to see. And it was so exhilarating and terrifying. And I just knew that this movie was going to be exhilarating just by the way that he was driving through the city looking for the places he wanted to shoot. And Michael is from LA and knows LA very well and had a clear vision of what he wanted LA to be.
As well, up to the...
One of my first phone calls was to Film LA and starting the dialogue with them to say, it's Michael Bay. In the city here, they're all too familiar with him. And we knew that going into this was going to be a definite challenge.
It's challenging because of the level of action and car stunts and flips and pyro and all the stuff that goes with a Michael Bay movie.
Over the years, the yeses are not yeses anymore because LA has grown tremendously in population and just in overall density of housing. But once we explained to them how we wanted to do things, we were able to bring them into the process of what it was, and they told us that they wanted to help us make this here.
We were very fortunate to have our location manager, Rob Gibson, and him and his team were able to move mountains because of their history of working in LA.
My family's here, all of my team live here, so to be able to navigate having this movie here in LA, it's a big win for my team.
LA is definitely captured all over this film, and I've gotten to know Los Angeles a whole lot better from driving around and getting crazy on the streets.
LA's gone through so much. It has so much history, and it feels like such an honor to be part of it.
Particularly on a Michael Bay movie where they close off the streets and you're driving at 80 miles an hour, which is definitely a kid's dream. There's nothing more fun than driving in LA. Very rarely do we talk about the EMTs in those ambulances who bring people to the hospital to hopefully save their lives. It's an extraordinary job.
So often in an action movie, you have a gun battle, there's bodies on the ground, you leave them behind. No, this whole movie is about you can't leave somebody behind. Because there's something about, people that want to rush into a disaster. You watch the news, there are social workers and paramedics and doctors, and they're racing into the disaster. And I'm always like, why would anybody do that?
I got a cop shot. We got to get him to the hospital. I felt so inspired to really honor what a paramedic does and a frontline responder is living day to day.
One of the coolest things about this role was driving downtown LA behind the wheel of an ambulance, and people honk their horns. Strangers, pedestrians would tip their caps because of just how much these people do for us. And they are heroes, literally.
We are trying to save you.
3, 2, 1, go.
Where did he get shot?
The leg.
Anything else?
I don't know.
Are you sure? I feel such a responsibility, and I would always tell Michael every single day, we have to make sure to honor the paramedics. We gotta honor the first responders.
I do think research is incredibly important. And we did have someone who was a paramedic who was on set.
My name is Danny Wirtz, and I am the Director of Clinical Operations for Falk Ambulance. I've been in emergency medical services for about 28 years now.
Danny was such a great inspiration. It was so cool to see a woman that has made her way through this wild business and saved so many lives and has kept that spark going and that love for what she does.
Yeah.
I pull up hard.
Good. Okay, good.
And then
Quiet, guys.
touch his pulse, and I'm gonna bam, bam, smack him in the chest. Because that's you want him to wake up.
So that was Danny's job, to work with them, say, this is what you do in this order, this is where your hand goes. Because one of the ways you can tell an experienced EMT or paramedic is how confident they are.
She trained to really understand authenticity. What does that person reach for without looking because they know where everything is in that ambulance?
I started discovering little silly things that I never even thought of. Like, for instance, the seats in the ambulance are so low sometimes that you're leaning forward to help the patient. That cuts circulation to your body, so it can give you lightheaded and make you nauseous and pass out. I learned that a lot of them just squat in a very strong position. They train so much physically to be able to lift bodies, obviously, to be able to grip on the floor.
Yo, Danny, relax.
And to think that lives are saved within a space that small, and that the people who do that are able to keep their composure is nothing less than extraordinary.
Come on. Medics here. Let him in.
Well, if you think about it, first responders, firemen, police, paramedics, they deal with human tragedy every day. And in the movie, there's a great line that Cam says, the worst moment of their life, that's just our Tuesday afternoon.
It's really unfortunate that in emergency medical services, people have a pretty high incidence of mental and emotional health, PTSD, and unfortunately a very high suicide rate.
We sometimes get to see in projects them being saviors, right? We see that beautiful side of the paramedics, but we never see the other side of the breakdown. Oh, I can't do it, I bled.
Hey.
I think it's so important to see that because that is a real portrayal of how it is for a paramedic. We see it with Cam, and eventually I think it catches up with her.
We take a lot of steps to look after their mental health because if you keep it to yourself, it's not the kind of thing that you can just live with forever. Some of the stuff that you've had to see can haunt you.
Well, we've got about 50,000 guns to your head, Danny.
It's been really great to get to know some of the guys that are, sprinkled through the cast that are actual law enforcement or first responder kinds of people.
Michael is very well known. He's got a lot of friends that are in police forces, Navy SEALs, Rangers.
He not only has relationships with LAFD, Los Angeles Fire Department, but he has great relationships with the SWAT members of Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD.
All the SWAT guys you see here, these are the real deal. These are actually LAPD SWAT guys that came out to help us out. And then also for some of the SIS undercover guys, they're all LAPD officers. So we just kind of drew from people we knew and asked them if they'd come in and help us out.
So he likes to use those people because they add a reality to the work that they do, as opposed to having to try to train extras to do things that are so specific.
Having somebody who for years they've had to shoot, move, and communicate versus a person who's, yes, they're a trained actor, but then you're giving them a gun or then you're saying, now act like this. You know what I mean? And there is a clear difference.
Remy showed me how to load up the rifle and how to hold it, and he just was very detailed, and so I really appreciated that, because one thing I wanted to do was to look authentic, as authentic as possible.
I think what struck me the most and what I tried to sort of hold on to was the level of calm they're able to achieve in the most stressful situations.
Lock everything down. Nothing gets out. I want mobile command moving in 5. Let's go, boys.
They've been pretty instrumental in helping us sound authentic and, look authentic and behave in a way that won't embarrass them.
The script change, for instance, when you have a SWAT team telling you that that's not the way it would actually go.
That's what I ask at the end of every take when they're involved. I say, did I embarrass you? Most of the time they say no.
We have amazing police tech advisors. They're really great because with Bay, it's always on the fly. New things are coming in continuously. So it meant that none of us had to pretend too much.
At the end of the day, I tremendously respect those guys, and I want them to get home safe. Because you look at those guys, whether it's military, fire, police, EMTs, whatever, and the time that they put in service, and then come out and help us too, on the back end of their careers. It's indescribable to be working with those guys and the amount of respect that they deserve.
I don't know what happened. Just start breathing.
It takes a very special type of human being. I don't think that we all fully understand what lengths people go to sacrifice their own lives to save other people.
It was impressive to understand so much about what they do and how much they save other people's lives was so inspiring to me. And I have so much respect for anyone that does this job.